As we've been hearing, the government wants more of us to buy our own homes. But has George Osborne's budget done anything to really help Londoners get on the property ladder? In a moment, I'll be talking to housing economist Jonathan Davis. But first, let's look at what that budget announcement really means. The Chancellor unveiled a new Help to Buy scheme aimed at helping people to buy homes without saving the sizable deposit asked for by many high street lenders. Currently in the capital, the average cost of a property is £445,000. Under the Help to Buy scheme, a buyer would have to find 5% of this for a deposit just over £22,000. They'd also take out a shared equity loan with the government for 20% of the value of the property, which would be £89,000. And they take out a standard mortgage of 75%, more than £333,000. That would mean monthly repayments of around £1,900 for 25 years, assuming a 5% interest rate. Well, let's pick up on some of those points with Jonathan Davis. Thanks for coming in. So, an average property price of £445,000. For many people, the idea of just a 5% deposit on that would be a very welcome one. Is this a good scheme?
Is it a good scheme? Certainly, it's difficult being a tenant in London. Outside the M25, it's a doddle, but for some reason, inside, it's very difficult. Is it a good scheme? I think it's a dreadful scheme because it's going to bring more people who feel forced to take out a massive debt. The assumption is that house prices can only rise, and therefore they're going to be OK. Of course, that's an unfair assumption.
But these are people who the government's going to make sure can afford mortgage repayments, so they're not necessarily risky, as you might suggest.
No, you're talking about the monthly payment. I'm talking about the loss of capital that people are in due course going to experience. Because
you're assuming house prices are going to go down, though, with that statement?
I don't think there's any doubt about that, because we have the lowest interest rates in 300 years. There's only one direction they can go, and that's up. And on top of that, there's an assumption inbuilt here that the economy is not going to fall. Well, the global economy is, so why shouldn't the British economy?
But what we've seen in London, that as house prices everywhere else seem to have dropped dramatically, in London, most of London, that hasn't necessarily been the case. So how can you assume, therefore, that prices are going to go down when we've seen one of the worst recessions of our lives?
Always a focus on the price. We need to also think about the market. The market has collapsed. The number of sales is down 40 to 50%. Ask any estate agent compared to what they were doing a few years ago. Obviously, we're not talking about the £30 million houses here. We're talking about Mr. and Mrs. Jones, who have difficulty in renting. No doubt. But I'll tell you what, if they get involved in this, and they probably will, it'll be OK for a few years, but then they'll pay for it big time.
So what will help Londoners buy then, do you think? Or do you think they should not be?
I think the government, whatever colour government is, should not be propping up house prices. Clearly they failed to prop up the housing market. They should not prop up house prices. What they should do is let the prices fall. That's the way they'll help people.
OK, that's interesting. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry, we have to leave it there. Now, he's renowned for bold and extravagant knitwear,